Welcome back guys to Movies Recaps. Today I'm going to describe The Brothers of the Wind, released in the year 2015. Toward the start of the film we are acquainted with a moderately aged man named Danzer. He is a forester in the mountain scope of the Alps. He deals with any natural life that necessitates help in the mountains. Danzer recounts a bold hawk and its companion. During the 1960s in an unsure spot in the Alps, a 2 or 3 has to bring forth eggs. As per Danzer, the parent falcons are the ruler and sovereign of their sort, so the posterity are the following in line to the lofty position. Yet since only one can be the following replacement, the siblings are likewise equals upon entering the world. The dad bird, being the most grounded of the others, has numerous foes. As the guardians are raising their eaglets, one day a foe assaults them. In a resulting battle the dad kicks the bucket. When he collides with the ground, the mother realizes that he won't return, so she begins to deal with her children alone. Elsewhere in the mountain, Danzer finds the father eagle's body. Moments later, he also meets a hunter named Keller. Keller and his young son Lucas live in a tiny house in the mountains. The relationship between the father and the son is not ideal, as Lucas hasn't uttered a word to Keller since his mother's death. The boy misses his mother dearly, but his father fails to understand him and give him the love he deserves. Lucas goes to the remains of his old house, where he and his parents once used to live. Deprived of the required love and affection from his father, the boy has found salvation in looking at the old pictures of them as a happy family. Meanwhile, with the father eagle gone, the mother takes it upon herself to raise the successor. But since there can only be one of those, the brothers start to fight with each other as they grow older. The fights get more frequent when the mother flies away to get them food. Most of the time, the older brother wins against the younger one. A few weeks later, when they have grown a little older, they get into one of such fights which causes the younger one to fall off the cliff and land on the grass hundreds of feet below. He is injured, weak, and hasn't learned to fly yet, so he waits for help from his mother. When she returns in the evening, she hears him but ignores the eaglet's cry for help. Without the father, she can only raise and protect one offspring, so she chooses the fittest one. The poor youngest one fights with the ants and wild foxes, and someone survives the night. It is evident that he cannot survive for long on his own yet. Just then Lucas finds the eagle and brings him to his secret hideout at his old home. He takes care of the poor creature and makes him a nest by cutting a pillow in half. Lucas has decided to nurture the eagle to health, but has no idea how to take care of a bird. He tries to feed him bread, but soon realizes that it won't work. He keeps the bird warm with his vest and runs home to get him food. He waits for his father to fall asleep and steal some of his lunch. He is delighted when the eagle finally eats the stolen sausage. In only a day the two become best friends. Danzer sees them play together in the field and chooses to assist Lucas with preparing the bird. The next day Lucas gathers roughage from the woodland and constructs a home for his companion. He even gathers worms for the bird, yet it won't eat them. Danzer shows up at the house and lets him know that hot dogs and worms are not beneficial for hawks. Rather, he gives him a duck liver. The bird joyfully eats the tissue as Danzer had anticipated. He likewise encourages Lucas to bring him outside so he can get a lot of daylight, which will assist his plumes with developing. That day Lucas is working with his dad. Keller attempts to speak with Lucas, yet he doesn't express a word. Irritated, he powers the youngster to work harder and prevents him from heading outside. Around evening time, a fox slips into Keller's ranch and kills every one of the hens. He furiously pursues Lucas since he passed on the way to the homestead open. Lucas then again brings one of the hens and hurries to the old house to take care of it to the falcon. He chases away the foxes that are attacking the bird and spends the rest of the night playing with it. As Lucas reads his family's Bible, he comes across the story of two brothers named Cain and Abel. Since the story sounds a lot like the eagle's story, he names it Abel. As Lucas takes care of Abel, his brother Cain is being trained by his mother to rule the mountains. Lucas also tries to teach Abel to fly, but because of his lack of knowledge he fails. While he is trying to train the bird, one day Danzer arrives and invites him to go live with him during the summer. He offers to teach Lucas how to train Abel and even gets permission from Keller about the matter. On being taken to the forester's cabin, Lucas sees a portrait of a young boy and an eagle that looks awfully like him and Abel. The following day, in an attempt to teach Abel to hunt, he catches a fish and hands it to him. However, Abel lets it slip away. Some days later, both Abel and his brother Cain grow their new pair of wings. Before Abel, his brother, learns to fly with the help of his mother, Lucas attempts to prepare Abel to fly. He drapes him in a home-like container from the rooftop, yet it isn't fruitful from the start. In the end, the bird begins to take off in the air. That evening, the two of them nod off on the top of the old house, yet when Lucas gets up the following morning, Abel is missing. He gets stressed and begins to check out when he sees Abel flying overhead. At first he is thrilled at the sight, yet when Abel roosts on top of a stone and Lucas attempts to contact him, Abel takes off. Lucas presently accepts that his main companion won't ever return since he has figured out how to fly. He tracks down a plume on the ground and keeps it as a diary. Danzer attempts to comfort Lucas, yet he also couldn't actually say whether the bird will at any point return. In the meantime, out in the wild, Abel attempts to chase a chamois. The resulting battle harms him, yet finally he falls flat. Life is difficult for him, as he needs to save himself from Keller's shotgun and his own sibling, who is currently an extraordinary tracker. For the following couple of days, Lucas looks for Abel vigorously. Right when he is going to surrender, the bird at last returns. This helps Lucas to never lose trust. He puts Abel's quill on a sanctum of stones and gets back with him. Following that, Danzer offers to assist Lucas with helping Abel to chase. He and Abel are planning for preparing when Keller approaches them. At seeing his dad, Lucas takes off. Keller complains of Danzer's methods and reminds him that Lucas is his child at the end of the day. Later, Danzer and Lucas teach Abel to be a fast hunter with a makeshift method. After failing the first few tries, the smart bird finally gets a hang of it and makes its first kill. Although they're doing pretty good with the training, Danzer tells Lucas that Abel will have to leave someday. At the end of the day, he is a wild animal and will have to return to the wild. A few days later, the two take Abel to the highest part of the mountain. Lucas bids farewell to Abel and ties a tiny bracelet to his feet. Eventually, the bird flies away. When winter arrives, things get tougher for Abel. He tries to hunt rabbits, but the snow and the cold weather make it almost impossible. After a lot of struggle, he kills an animal by drowning it in the river. With time, he eventually learns to hunt for himself. Meanwhile, Lucas has not forgotten about his friend with feathers. He thinks of Abel every day. His father lays out bear traps for the wild animals, which he removes in order to save them. One day he goes to the shrine that he made with Abel's feather and falls asleep in the snow thinking of him. He wakes up some hours later to see a wolf very close to him. The youngster frenzies and takes off, yet on his way he coincidentally steps on a bear trap set up by his dad. His shouts alert Danzer, who fortunately is close by. The forester drives the wolf off with his rifle and assists Lucas with getting his leg out of the snare. Meanwhile, Abel arrives at his origination and meets his sibling Cain. He has now developed into a monster of a bird. There is as yet pressure between the siblings. We see them hunting together and battling for tissue. One day, Danzer recounts the tale of the siblings of the breeze to Lucas. The story is like that of Cain and Abel. Lucas needs to know how the story closes, yet Danzer claims that even in the wake of knowing the last page, they would in any case not have the foggiest idea about the result. On one of Danzer's campaigns, he sees the Hawk siblings settled sharing a branch. Lucas then again chooses to pass on his dad and advance toward the opposite side of the mountain to live alone. He is in the old house about to leave when Keller finds him and asks him to light a match. A flashback shows us that Lucas's mother was killed in a fire that he accidentally created. When Keller lights the match, Lucas runs away and escapes into the mountains. Keller goes after his son, worried for his safety. A while later, Lucas is climbing a mountain when a rock slide showers upon him. He falls to the ground and is knocked out by lightning. Abel appears beside him and soars over him. After some minutes, Keller finds his son and apologizes to him for his ill treatment. Lucas speaks for the first time to his father and says Abel's name. As the two leave, we see a dead eagle lying under a rock nearby. It is now a few years later. Lucas and Keller have mended their relationship. They are climbing up the mountain in the snow, carrying wood to light a fire. Lucas says he feels Abel is still alive. It is revealed that he has still not accepted Abel's death and hopes he will be back someday. However, Keller doesn't share the view. He tells his son that the bird was the dead eagle on the rock slide. As he is trying to make Lucas understand that he must let go of false hope, something catches his attention. Keller suddenly stops talking and asks Lucas to stretch his arm. The boy is confused, but he does as told. To his surprise, Abel appears and perches on Lucas's arm. The bird that passed on in the mountains ends up being his sibling Cain. Lucas is past more than happy. However, he realizes that it is the ideal opportunity for him to relinquish his companion for good. He removes the armband that he put on Abel's foot quite some time ago and liberates him. Minutes after the fact, Abel takes off up high. In the last scene, Abel and a female hawk are in their home sitting tight for the appearance of another lid. That was all from the video. I wish you love it. Subscribe for more recaps like this, and hit the bell button to help the channel. If you like, you can share your opinion about the video in the comments.